I'm John Riley. Welcome back to another episode of Bushcraft Bums. Just want to demonstrate today a quick method of how to make a gill net. And a gill net is one of those things that it's kind of a risk versus benefit thing, in that a gill net, while it's not really time intensive to make it, it's cordage intensive. So if you happen to have a lot of cordage, it might be a good investment. But if you have to roll your own cordage in order to make it, it's going to take a long time, and that's going to be a huge investment of time, as if you have to make your own cordage. But it might be worth it if you're by a body of water, as a gill net is a great way to catch fish by stringing it across a body of water. It could also be used to catch larger fish when used as a seining net. A gill net can also be used to haul things like a backpack, and a gill net can also be used as a hammock, or even if it's using strong enough cordage, as a ladder. So it's a really versatile piece of equipment, which is what we like when we're in these wilderness type situations. So let's take a look at how we're going to go about making one. Alright, so what I did, I don't know if you can see, is I'm using this kind of poly twine today just because it's cheap and readily available, and it's white, so it'll stand out a little better. But I strung a piece of cordage across the door frame here. This could just as easily be tied between two trees, okay? And then what we're going to do is I have a couple of pre-length cut pieces of string here, and we're going to start lacing them through. We're going to use a variation of a prusik knot for our first line here. And the way that's going to work is I'm just going to slip this around like this, and then I'm going to pull the cordage through. That's going to be my first loop there. Okay, I'm going to make a couple of those using these pre-cut lengths of cordage I made. Try to make sure they're relatively even. Once again, it's a survival net. It's not, doesn't have to be, exact, but the closer you get it, the nicer it's going to be in the end. Alright, slide that however far. The closer you put them together, the tighter the net weave is going to be. But for today, since we're just demonstrating, we'll make this a large net weave, like if we were going to catch large fish or use it. Also, these can be used with spring traps to snare birds and such, depending on what type of trigger you use. We can get into some of that later. So I'm doing the same thing, just making a modified prusik knot. This has only got one loop on each side, whereas a normal prusik knot would have three. This is just to hold the cordage in place. If you're looking for a detailed explanation on how to do this, you can check in with the book called the SAS Survival Guide by John Lofty Wiseman, and that's where I learned how to do this from. And it's a great read all around for any type of survival skill. But that's where I learned how to make these type of nets. All right, so I'm going to put a few of these together. We're only going to do a couple of rows just so we can get the idea of how this is going to work. We'll do one more. All right. That's our first level of our net there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the two outside pieces here, and I'm going to kind of leave them be, all right? And I'm going to start connecting the inner pieces. So I'm going to hold these inner pieces together. I'm just going to take them both together, wrap them around my finger, and tie a knot through. Pull that nice and tight there. All right? I'm going to do the same thing over here. Take these two pieces, the inner strands, try to get them about even with the other one, wrap them around one finger, pull the knot through. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Take these two, hold them together, wrap a little knot, and pull them through. Alright, again, obviously the more pieces you have here, the more knots you're going to have to do. And lastly, right here, through. Good. Now we can tie these off over here. Pull it through. Like that. Same thing on the other side. And that's the first level of our net. Now we can keep going through. I'll put one more level on just so we can see how it works. Alright, and once again we're doing a large weave net here. Lost my knot here. It's hard keeping my arms up that long. Loop it around. Pull it through. Again. And loop it around. Pull it through. Keep your knots nice and tight. Loop it around. Pull it through. Good. And loop it around. Pull it through. I'm just going to give a little check at our time and see how we're doing. Hold on. Okay. Getting close to the 10-minute mark here, but you can see we got our first level of netting here done. All right, and we're just going to keep going like that. We're going to keep taking the inner strands, tying them together, looping it across. This is our first row. But gradually we want to go down and go down. And as we get to the bottom, we'd run another piece of cordage off and tie everything off, and you'd have a net. Done pretty easily. Like I said, it's not a real investment in time if you have enough cordage available, but it does use a lot of rope. So if you're going to use natural rope, that's where your big time investment is going to be. That's when you have to decide if it's worth the time and energy to make. All right? That's a basic example of how to do a gill net. I'm John Riley. This is Bushcraft Bums. Thanks for watching.